Good evening, folks. Thanks for supporting me and subscribing my channel and making that channel into around 600 plus kind of subscribers. And I want one more thing from you guys. Subscribing is one point. The second point is commenting onto that. Please comment onto that my videos and those things, whether you guys liked or not. That need to be there because that is the motivation for me. There are a few people who are commenting, but I wanted still more people to comment on that and share me some topics if you guys wanted to listen from my side, and I'll research and I'll put my thought process on that. Today I did a small interview with a 30-year-old businessman. 30-year-old business. When he started his into business, he's 30 years. So young guy, it's not that very old guy also. So he was sharing his experiences to the young entrepreneurs and the startup companies, what need to be there when you start your own companies and those things. So three things which he told me in that is: one is vision, the second one is, you can say, fire, and the third one is patience. So he told that vision need to be there, fire need to be there, and patience also need to be there. So which I felt that every three things need to be there in a proportion, then only the things will work out. So those all things are there. Please go and watch that in small interview, and if you liked, please comment on that. I have not made that thing in a very big professional camera and those things. Normally I took in from my mobile itself. So it will not be like a professional kind of thing, but it will be a raw kind of thing. Whatever I'm asking and whatever the videos has been taken in a very raw way. So I just put that thing itself in a very raw way to you guys. So you guys are the one who need to go and see that video properly and check that whether you can take some insights from that, and which can transform your life also. So thanks for that. Anyway, today I was just coming out from a meeting. I was just standing in a place where I was just waiting for a Uber. So there was something fight was going out near to me. I thought first it was daughter and mother, a very professional way, few words in English, few words in Tamil. So I was thinking that quite educated people, why they are fighting. Still I was waiting for Uber because I didn't, nowadays Uber, when you book, it takes long time. For one guy will book, the other guy will cancel, then again you need to stand there. So it's like tedious kind of things now, you can say, in Uber and Ola in the peak hours. So nevertheless, so I was just having some time pass because I was listening these people. I was just standing there. So I felt, it was daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. Both are the people who are fighting with each other. So I was thinking these guys are quite educated people the way they are speaking, but why they are making this kind of things in a public way? They never they are not feeling ashamed also that public is watching them and those things. And suddenly, some point, I got frustrated and just stared at both of them. Then suddenly everything went silent. So this thought process was running when I was sitting in Uber also. Why this daughter-in-law and mother-in-laws are fighting with each other? So today, I am feeling that there should be a bridging kind of between daughters-in-law and mother-in-law. You understand? The relationship between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is often portrayed in society as a complicated one. That is the one thing, filled with misunderstanding, unspoken expectations. Yet, as at its core, you can say this bond was the potential to be one of the most nurturing and empowering in a family. Right? Nurturing and empowering in a family. The key to harmony is not merely understanding each other, but embracing acceptance, accepting differences with grace and compassion. Correct? Because I'll tell you, when you have friends and colleagues in your office, you need to have what? You need to have understanding with them. But when it comes to a family and relationship and those things, there you need to have purely an acceptance. Conflicts often arise because both parties carry their own experiences, fears, and expectation into the relationship. A mother in law may fear losing influence over her family, while a daughter in law may feel pressure to adapt, I can say, to an established household dynamic. These challenges are natural, but they do not have to define the relationship. That is also one thing. These challenges are natural, but they do not have to define their relationship. Acceptance does not mean surrendering. one's identity. Acceptance does not mean surrendering one's identity as well. It means recognizing the humanity in the other person. When a mother-in-law treats her daughter-in-law as she should her own daughter, she should, daughter-in-law should she when a mother-in-law treats her daughter-in-law as she would her own daughter, and when a daughter-in-law treats her mother-in-law as she would her own mother, the home transforms into a space of respect. If they both treat each other that this is my mother and this is my daughter, the whole home transforms into a space of respect, understanding, and love. Small acts, I'll tell you, small acts can make very different change, very big change, you can say. Listening patiently, showing appreciation, and valuing each other contributions can build a bridge stronger than any misunderstanding in the family. Example, now you can say, imagine mother-in-law noticing the extra effort, you can say, of her daughter-in-law puts into family meals. A simple acknowledgement, you can say, I see how hard you are working and I appreciate it, can turn tension into warmth. Likewise, when a daughter-in-law takes a moment to seek an advice or involve her mother-in-law in decisions, you can say, it fosters trust and connection. Ultimately, this relationship is an opportunity for growth for both the individuals, if you see, to expand their empathy, patience, and capacity for love. A harmonious bond is not achieved overnight, you understand? A harmonious bond is not achieved overnight, but through consistent gestures of respect and acceptance can bring that. If I can say a small quote, a mother-in-law is not a rival and a daughter-in-law is not a challenge. When hearts meet with acceptance, a family blossoms in life. A family blossoms in life and love. So, a mother in law is not a rival, a daughter in law is not a challenge. When hearts meet with acceptance, a family blossoms in love. The relationship between, you can say, a mother in law and a daughter in law is one of the most talked about in every household. Some say it's like Tom and Jerry, always fighting, yet never able to live without each other, yet never able to live without each other. And perhaps that's the beauty of it, mix of emotions, expectations, and love. Let's be honest, a daughter in law often feels, why is mother in law always checking what I do in the kitchen? A small example I'm telling. And mother in law thinks, why does she think she knows more about my son than I do? But these are the things which make the differences, if you ask me. The first difference is, like a daughter-in-law often feels, why is the mother-in-law always checking what I do in the kitchen? And the mother-in-law thinks, why does she think she knows more about my son than I do? Now, these are the things which, the actual differences start. Funny, isn't it? It's very funny. Because at the end of the day, both love the same man. Now, that also to be very much noted. Because end of the day, both love the same man, one as a son and other as a husband. It's funny, right? Imagine this: one day the mother-in-law says, daughter, the salt is a little less in the curry. Daughter-in-law replies in a very diplomatic way. Now there is a reply, there is a, it also depends upon how you reply to any of the questions or any of the things. Now she says, Mummy, doctor has asked to reduce salt. I'm just caring for your health. Now when she says that word, who wins? Who wins? Both. One cares for the taste, the other for the health. And the son quietly eats without saying a single word. That also is there. See, who wins in this? Okay. The daughter-in-law, mother-in-law says, daughter, there is salt is little less in the curry. She replies the same way. Daughter-in-law replies that, Mummy, doctor has asked to reduce the salt. I'm just caring for your health. I'm just caring for your health. End of the day, who wins? Both. One cares for the taste and the other cares for the health, and the son is quietly eats without saying a single word. Advice, I'll tell you as a advice to a daughter-in-law, remember your mother. Remember your mother-in-law has spent decades building this family. That is the one thing which I will advise to the daughter-in-laws across, you can say. Remember your mother-in-law has spent decades building this family. If she guides you, it's not always criticism. It's her way of passing down her wisdom. Can you understand? If she guides you, it is not always criticism. Don't take it as a criticism. It's her way of passing down her wisdom. Instead of proving who is right, try saying, Mummy, you also tell me your way. I will learn from you. Trust me, this one line can melt even the strictest mother in law. Instead of, always proving who is right, who is wrong, just tell her that. You also tell me, Mummy, you just tell me which way I wanted to follow. I will learn from you. Just guide me. And this one word can melt even the strictest you can mother-in-law. And I'll give advice to mother-in-laws also in the entire globe. Your daughter-in-law has left behind her home. Think about that. Your daughter-in-law has left behind her home and her comfort zone and stepped into your family. What she needs most is not supervision but acceptance. She doesn't need understanding, she needs acceptance in your family. Your daughter-in-law, just think that when your son got married, when she comes from a different background, from a different, altogether from a different roots, she can say. Your daughter-in-law has left behind her home, where she would have lived for so long years from the childhood, her comfort zone, and stepped into your family. What she needs is most is not supervision. Don't supervise her, but accept her as it is. And simple, daughter-in-laws also, I will tell them, don't stress, you are doing well. Always, don't stress, you are doing well. A simple, don't stress, you are doing well, can give her confidence that she belongs here. Now, ask yourselves, very honestly. We need to ask ourselves also very honestly. Do I want to win the argument or do I want peace in the home? That is also there. It is this question is for the both daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. Do I want to win an argument or do I want peace in home? Am I treating her as the other woman in my child's life or as the new daughter in my family? This is to the mother-in-laws, what they need to think. That am I treating her as the other woman in my child's life or as the new daughter in my family? Can I laugh at small differences instead of fighting over them? Because decades of experience of running the family which mother-in-laws have. If there is a small thing, there they can share with a small, laughing kind of therapy, you can say, instead of fighting over them. Because when two strong women in the house decide to love instead of competing, the family becomes unshakable, my friends. Because when two strong women in a house, you can say, decide to love instead of compete, the family becomes unshakable. Both end needs to think. A daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law are like two wheels of a cart. If they move in opposite directions, the journey is full of bumps. But if they move together, the ride becomes smooth and the whole family enjoys it. I was literally today, when I saw that fight in between that mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, I was just pitying for them. I was just feeling that why they are fighting. And such educated people, when you see them, you feel them, they are very highly educated. The way they are talking in English, little bit into their mother tongue language, Tamil and those things. I was feeling that this much studied, why they don't have, they are not, they're not looking at the surroundings, what is there. So a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law are likely like the two wheels of a cart. If they move in opposite direction, the journey is full of bumps. But if they move together, the ride becomes smooth and the family enjoys it. So, I can close this session not taking very big and those things, the two things, I will leave to mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws to think about this. When a mother-in-law treats her daughter like her own, and a daughter-in-law respects her mother-in-law like her own, the house turns from just a building into a real home. That's a small quote. Like when a mother-in-law treats her daughter-in-law like her own, and a daughter-in-law respects her mother-in-law like her own, the house turns from just a building into a real home. Now you guys needs to think how to live the life. It's very tough in this current century and all. When you see this, there is no respect with each other, fighting wherever they need, without seeing the places, without seeing who is standing and how the crowds are. No, they are not bothered about those things. And even very much professional people, very much professional things, they are very much there. They are fighting also in a very professional way. So I was feeling a little bit weird today. So I thought to do a small video about this mother-in-law and daughter-in-law and to present you guys. This is the thought process which I thought when I was standing there and when I was seeing their fights, and even when I entered the Uber also, this all things were there going into my head. So I was thinking that okay, today let me do a small video about that and present to you guys. So if you guys liked, just reply to me, comment on this, and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. See you. Good night.